Developing tonight, new dishonesty about contraception and the Supreme Court's decision in Hobby Lobby. That case upheld some corporations' religious rights to not provide coverage for certain forms of birth control, four in particular that can end a fertilized egg, which some believe is abortion. Nancy Pelosi and other Democrats declared this proof of the war on women, telling folks the court had actually banned contraception, which is false. The Kelly file corrected the record and urged others to do the same. The next day, PolitiFact labeled Ms. Pelosi's claims false, and yesterday the Washington Post agreed, going on to denounce several claims by Democrats as not warranted by the facts. This week, some liberals are at it again, saying that decision was based on bad science, that the four forms of birth control in no way amount to abortion because they do not end a fertilized egg, they just prevent contraception in the first place. Here's Jon Stewart having some fun on that point, which has popped up in several left-wing forums.
One thing struck me about the decision. Hobby Lobby didn't want its employees' insurance to cover certain contraceptive methods, such as Plan B, because they said that method caused abortions. The problem with that is not, what's the word I'm looking for? True.
To be sure, these birth control methods do not cause abortion like the ones performed at Planned Parenthood on a table. But they can and do end fertilized eggs. And to many, that is ending a life. Still, the left maintains this is all bogus science, offering op-eds by doctors that conclude at least, quote, 3 of these 4 contraceptives do not lead to abortion, even using the conservative definition of when life begins, namely, when an egg is fertilized. So where on earth did that come from? Where did we get that notion? Well, there's the Supreme Court opinion, which specifically finds that, quote, these 4 methods may have the effect of preventing an already fertilized egg from developing any further by inhibiting its attachment to the uterus. It's right there in black and white. But maybe those 5 majority justices didn't know what they were talking about. They were probably just citing some Hobby Lobby shill. Oh, well, actually, they were citing the government's own brief. They were citing the government. The government was making this point. Well, what does the government know? They were basically, it was DOJ representing Health and Human Services. Upon whom were they relying for their facts? Oh, the Food and Drug Administration? The group that actually oversees these very drugs? Well, maybe the FDA wasn't clear. Maybe it didn't know what it was. Let's see what it actually said about these drugs. This is from the FDA. According to FDA-approved product labels, a copper IUD works by preventing implantation of a fertilized egg in the uterus. Oh. An IUD with progestin alters the endometrium, meaning the uterine lining. Plan B may inhibit implantation of a fertilized egg in the uterus. Oh, all right. And Ella may also work by affecting implantation. It's all there, black and white. The science actually sounds pretty clear. But perhaps the justices should have ignored all that and instead relied upon agenda-driven pundits to better understand the science here. Or perhaps these ideologues should think a bit more before trying so hard to mislead and divide us. Joining me now, Chris Steyerwalt, our Fox News digital politics editor. You know, Chris, it's like they try one misrepresentation, and when they get called out on it, they try another.
Counselor, I don't know how you expect me to follow an introduction like that. The U word used more times in the last 3 minutes than I think ever. Does that make you uncomfortable? Uterine? I'm perfectly fine.
Do you feel more comfortable with uterine than uterus?
Neither, please. Right. Neither, please.
Listen, you see my point, is that
yes,
they want to pretend that these drugs, they're all about stopping the sperm in the egg from making a happy union. There's nothing that would get rid of a fertilized egg, which is much dicier. Yes, there is. That is what they do in part. And the FDA and Health and Human Services and DOJ specifically represented that to the United States Supreme Court.
I don't think this has anything to do with zygotes or gametes or anything like that. I think this has everything to do with Democrats being down, pretty far down, when it comes to their chances to hold on to the United States Senate. I think this is wholly about trying to terrify female voters and particularly Democratic donors in the early going to create torrents of cash to pour forward for Harry Reid's super PAC and for the president's super PAC to go out across the country and then say of Republican candidates, male and female, whatever their positions, even those who want to have the pill available over the counter, to say to those people, these are cavemen. these are aconite monsters who want to lurk in your gynecologist's office and take rights away from you. I think that trumps anything that is close to the truth. I think that is a way more important truth in Washington is down in the running to keep the Senate than anything that the FDA ever said.
No one, and they're banking on no one doing the work it takes to disprove these misrepresentations. Am I wrong? Because the Washington Post and PolitiFact called out Pelosi and Harry Reid and all these others when? After Fox News took it on directly as an issue and challenged them to do it.
You dared them. They did it. But how about this? The President of the United States said, I don't know how many times, a demonstrably false figure about how many people had signed up for Obamacare and about how many people had signed up for Medicaid expanded under Obamacare.
Right.
And he just used it, and you said, that's not true. And everybody said, that's not true. And the Pinocchio's noses came out, and the liar, liar, pants on fire meter got up there. And you know what he said? The same thing over and over and over again, talking over his critics and being amplified by the media.
Well, I applaud PolitiFact and the Washington Post for getting on it.
Hear, hear.
Chris, good to see you.
You bet.